local to the Seattle Mariners down there in Soto playing at T-Mobile Park. They are in the All-Star break right now. It is, truth be told, the All-Star game was tonight, Tuesday. I believe it's over, Marku. You've got an update on that, right?
Yeah, it's for the American League won 4-3. Danny Vogelbach, he was our guy to represent. He went 0-for-1 in the game. He pinch hit as DH, and he was pulled in the 8th inning in a big spot. Really wanted him to come up to the plate, but really proud of him. 26 years old to be in the first All-Star game. Really exciting.
Yeah, great for Vogelbach. We said last show that he was the one that we thought should make it. Really, he's the guy that kind of deserves it from this team. We wanted to see him in the home run derby. I don't know that he could have kept up in that anyway with how that went down on Monday. But great to see Vogelbach.
That was an insane home run derby. Wow.
Yeah, legendary. You tell me the balls aren't juiced. Come on. Just a great performance. Congratulations to Daniel Vogelbach making his way to the All-Star game out there in Cleveland. Just getting there. I mean, that's great. Every team needs a rep. He was the rep for the Mariners. So that's because he's one of the bright spots on this Mariners team to open this first half of the season. So let's get into the Mariners here, Marku, because we've had our ups and downs with this team as the season went. But we are at the unofficial midpoint. The actual midpoint was a few weeks ago, but we are at the unofficial midpoint here at the All-Star break. A chance to breathe, a chance to reflect, take a week off, see what we've got, see where we are in this rebuilding effort of a year. And right now the Mariners sit at 39-55. Now, Marku, I did a bit of back-of-the-envelope math on this. That projects out at 67 wins for the season. And that's better than any last-place team did last year, and better than, 3/5 of the AL Central did last year. So you know what? I'll take that this year.
Hey, I'll take it too. For a team that's, processing, the games aren't as terrible as you would expect. I mean, May was the worst.
May was brutal.
Couldn't watch baseball then, but even though they haven't been winning many games lately, but they've shown a lot of promise with a lot of the young guys. They're just kind of getting rattled around with the bullpen and this whole opening pitcher thing, which we'll get into.
Yeah, this was a team that started 13-2, shot out of the gate. Great series in Japan to really fire them up. Came home to T-Mobile Park, opened up the season just bashing runs, bashing home runs to the point where it didn't matter that the defense wasn't there and the bullpen wasn't as good. They went what was it, 13-2 to start the season, and just. It looked great. Looked like a real team. And then in May, everything fell apart. They were 7-21 in May with a 6.03 ERA. They still lead the league in errors. They are the worst defensive team in baseball. Gotten a little better recently. We talked about this last time. Some of the other bright spots we're going to get to have shored up their position some in the infield, getting Seager back at third, J.P. Crawford really kind of bringing the shortstop position, moving Santana to right field instead of left, which is a more natural position apparently, and he can play that. Still leading in errors, but it's been better of late. The games are watchable, as you said, Marku. This is not a team that is embarrassing to watch anymore.
No, not at all. That's because we're seeing a lot of production from our young prospects. J.P. Crawford, he's batting .277, has 4 home runs, 25 RBIs in 39 games. Bogey, he's having an all-star season, 21 home runs, 51 RBIs. And Malik Smith, who's, I was really down on earlier in the year. He had a lot of defensive errors. He's batting .238, which isn't great, but he's second in base stolen bases with 23, and he has 5 home runs and 23 RBIs. So he's a speed demon, which is really great. With a couple of fast guys like D. Gordon and Malik Smith in the lineup, it kind of always gives us a chance to have action on the base side.
Yeah, man, you can't teach speed. And he's getting better in the outfield. He's one of those guys that, like Crawford, had to take an assignment down at Tacoma this year and really leaned into that, got it for what it was worth. Shored things up down there in AAA and have just been, both of them, a house on fire since they got back. Crawford had an injury, I think, too, through the season, but just have been really good since they came back and playing very well. The other bright spot, actually, for the team, there's a couple of the pitching. Marco Gonzalez has rounded into form, really. There was some questions there for a bit, but he's at like 10 wins now.
Yeah, Marco, he's improved to 10-7 on the season, lowering his ERA to 4.24, And he's been 5-1 those last 6 games, and he's just kind of found himself after a really tough May. The whole team was really struggling in May. They lost their bats, they lost their pitching. The reason why the Mariners are it's an anomaly that the Mariners have the second most home runs in the league, and also have the second most home runs given up, because that month of May was just brutal for them, and it was brutal for Marco. So seeing him kind of come back here in June and right before the All-Star break, just kind of coming to form, it's good to see. It's promising for Mariner fans.
Yeah, the other pitcher I want to talk about while we're talking about it is Yusei Kikuchi, because both of these guys have been better of late than they were to start. Both have had better games towards the end of the first half than they had in the beginning of the first half. You know what I mean? And like you said, went 5-1. Marco Gonzalez went 5-1, and I had a stat here on Kikuchi that I just can't find at the moment. But also another guy who has been better in the second half, has really sort of brought it back. He pitched a game on Friday, even where he lost against the A's. And a quick recap: they went two. What was here? Hang on, I have these notes too. They had the series for the A's. They went loss win loss in that one. In one of the losses, Kikuchi pitched great. He looked great picking up the loss, but really had a good game. He finished the game with where is it? I lost it here. 2 earned runs and 4 hits in 7 innings, but picked up the loss in Oakland. That's a pretty good stat. He's getting better. He was a bright spot at one point, then he fell off. Bright spot again at the beginning of the year here, or at the middle of the year.
Yeah, he's finally starting to mix up his pitches a lot. He used to throw that curveball a lot, and people were just kind of catching up to it. But he's finding his mix. He's also got a lot on his mind. His wife is actually giving birth to his first child, so he's kind of dealing with that right now. So Kuchi's got a lot on his plate right now. But yeah, it's good to see him coming forward right before the All-Star break, just like Marco. You want to see those two guys really, flourish the rest of the season, because what they do for the rest of the season kind of determines where they end up with this whole process.
Yeah, because this is, again, a process. We don't expect them to actually win this year. So let's talk about that, man. How you feeling about this season right now? How do you feel where they are?
I feel good because, we are trading the assets that I thought we would trade. Trading Edwin was a good idea, even though it was tough to trade the AL leading home run hitter and all that stuff. But we're doing the right stuff in regards to player acquisition. I'm a little skeptical about what the hell's going on the field with the opening pitcher stuff. Like, I'm not a fan of it. That's a part of the process I'm not a fan of. But other than that, I got to say the Rainiers, they have a lot of good prospects coming up. Shed Long, he just got hurt, but he's been doing damage down there. They got Bergman down there. So, the process is kind of come to fruition. Jared Selnick and Modesto, he's crushing the ball. He got promoted from West Virginia, so he's dominating the way we want him to. When the trade from the Mets over the offseason. So process is coming together. It's really slow. The games are better than what they were in May, but like I said, it's the opening pitcher situation it's kind of making it tough for me to get excited about the process, because I feel like, when you're doing a process, you should kind of stick to some of the old ways instead of trying some new stuff like this.
Well, I agree with you here. I agree with you on all these points, actually. I think that they've been doing the right things through the beginning of the season. They traded the guys that they could trade. Anybody else before the trade deadline that they can move, they will. Most of these guys are not going to be fixtures on this team going forward. But the young kids are. They're not going to trade them as they fill in the position. So we could lose D. Gordon. We might even lose Santana. If he gets his act together and keeps hitting, might lose him out there. You have to. This is what we're doing. We're not building to win this year. Shoot, we're not even building to win next year. This really is looking more like a 2021. Next year we have the outside shot kind of deal. The puncher's chance, and then. Going through, and I agree with you completely about the opener. So let's talk about this now. This was actually on a schedule to talk about before when we had some tech difficulties. But this this drives me crazy too. Now, this is the analytical idea that you get a guy out there for the first inning, and he's going to pitch the first inning. This was debuted by the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, I'd have sworn this was a Joe Madden. This sounds like a Joe Madden idea, but it was the Tampa Bay Rays that deployed this first. And the idea is that you send one of your bullpen guys out there to open the game and shut down the first three hitters. You don't send your starter out to the first inning, so you're not wasting him there. That's statistically they're going to hit those. They're ready for him. So you send him out in the second inning when he's going to miss that first part of the lineup, and he's only going to pitch to those guys 3 times instead of 4 times. Is kind of the idea. They see him less.
Right.
Now this can work if you've got a good opener, and the Mariners have used it to some extent. What have they done it 12 times so far this year here, Marku?
Yeah, 12 times. 5 different pitchers.
With 5 different pitchers, and they've combined for a 15.6 ERA with 20 hits, 13 walks, and 4 home runs in 10 1/3 innings. The Mariners are 5-7 in the 12 times they've used the opener. That said, it's worked for who would be the starter, which they're calling the headliner. He's not the starter, he's the headliner. And the one who's benefited the most from this has really been Wade LeBlanc. It's really worked out for him in this time. Now, the guys ahead of him have let up some ridiculous runs that he has, you go into the game 5 runs down. You're probably not picking up the W. But he has pitched pretty well in these situations.
Yeah, they aren't happy about the situation, though. I mean, they're especially. Scott Gervais, our coach, he's kind of just playing to what the GM's kind of wanting him to do. Because I'm not sure he's even a big proponent for this opening pitcher thing. Because it's so strange to me because it's almost like a slap in the face to our starting pitchers. Like, hey man, you can't get the job done. I understand the analytics behind it, but why not then just put all 5 starting pitchers in and let them pitch 2 innings, each, and every single day. This way they break up their pitches every day. I don't know. It's just I feel like it's just overthinking baseball, and the Mariners just need to. And I understand this opening pitcher thing is also an opportunity to search for a starting pitcher. If they find the right guy, then they might convert it to a starting pitcher. But I just don't think they're doing it the right way. Following and I know this is becoming a trend now, but following the Rays method, I don't think that's a great model to take on. I mean, I might be crazy. I might be too traditional on this.
Well, I agree with you, and part of the reason I agree with you is because in order to do this, you've got to have the bullpen that can do it. It's like having a closer. If you're going to have the opener, if you have a guy that can come in and throw 1 inning, lights out, and get 3 outs, and be like, all right, I did my job. If you've got that guy, odds are he's at the back of your bullpen anchoring, and that's when the Rays did it. They brought in, was it Sergio Ramos, I think, was the guy that threw for him to do this, and you waste him at the beginning of the game. You don't get to use him at the end of the game. Even if you've got a guy that can do that, and the Mariners just don't have a guy that can do that. The Mariners bullpen is so bad that when you're bringing them in first, what are you just going to spot the team a lead is what you're doing. They're trying to get to the bullpen. They're trying to get past LeBlanc to get to the bullpen because the Mariners don't have a guy that can just throw 1 inning.
Yeah, and I think the other idea behind this whole opening pitcher thing is, you get the pitcher in the second inning, you can potentially go deeper. But even when we hand the ball off in the 8th or 9th inning, we blow the game. It's not like it's making much of a difference at that point. So why not just start Wade and start those guys? Because, I'm telling you, it must be discouraging to be a starting pitcher and go in to a game where you're down 3-0, 5-0. After Steve Kerr said he's done pretty well in a few of the games, but mostly they've been pretty roughed up. They had over 15 ERA. So just kind of it's very frustrating. I feel like they're just overthinking the process, and that's what concerns me. It makes me I like the acquisitions they're getting, but doing this, it just I understand the analytics are a big thing in the AL West with the A's in our division, but
and the Astros.
I just don't like it. Yeah, and the Astros, that's right, yeah, and that was a winning formula, but the Astros aren't necessarily doing this on the regular. I know they have a phenomenal lineup.
No, they went out and they got themselves some starting pitchers is what they did, because that's what you need to do. Because you're right. Even when you hand the ball off to this it's the bullpen. Even when you hand this ball off in the 8th, or the 9th, there's still a good chance that somebody's going to give it away. So if you're not going to have your starting pitcher, if the only guy you can trust is the guy who's supposed to start, your starter, your headliner, whatever you want to call him, then you're screwed either way. It doesn't matter if he's opening the game or if he's closing the game. You want LeBlanc to pitch innings 3 through 9? That doesn't make any sense either. Start the pitcher. I can see if you're in a playoff hunt and you're trying to throw things off and you want to mix up the lineup and you're trying to keep guys, like load management, as they would say in the NBA, or whatever you're trying to do with your pitchers so they're not throwing too. I could see playing with this if you're in a playoff hunt and trying to figure out the strategy of it. But for the Mariners, Jesus, just play baseball. We're trying to find guys who can play so that later we can do this kind of shit. Let's just fucking play baseball and see what we've got out there. Are you a starting pitcher? Good. Go start and pitch. It's in the title.
Exactly. And then the only argument that I've heard on the other side is that the headliner or whatever, they're doing well when they come in. They're pitching they have a 3.0 ERA through 67 innings, in these 12 games. So it's like, they're pitching well, but it's easy to pitch well when you don't have that same kind of pressure as a starter, like that's coming to the game 0-0. When you're coming in 3-0, 5-0, the game's a little different than when it is when it's tied up or 0-0.
Yeah. All right, we'll see what they do for the rest of the season here, which begins on Friday, actually. They have the game off today is the All-Star game. Of course, 2 more days off. The All-Star break's been extended to the 4 days, and they will get back at it in Anaheim against the Angels on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They then have Monday off, and they go to Oakland. They come back to Seattle. T-Mobile Park is first game back is next Friday, the 19th.